Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up this week, we're going to talk about member benefits for DVC members. Coming up next. The DVC show is brought to you by DVCstore.com. For more than 25 years, the DVC store has been welcoming people home to the Disney Vacation Club with incredible prices on DVC contracts and knowledgeable associates who can answer all your DVC questions. Visit them at DVCstore.com or call 1-800-550-6493. And by the DVC forums on disboards.com. If you have questions or comments about DVC, our discussion forums are a great place to get information and join with other like-minded fans. Head over to disboards.com and join in the conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you from the Bob Varley studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friend, Sean Falk.
Hi.
Jackie Gailey.
Hi, everybody.
Fiasco back on the controls.
Welcome home.
And joining us via Skype, Mr. Pete Shidley.
Hi, everyone.
All right, so this week we're going to talk about member benefits. A lot of questions always come up about what the benefits are and what you get when you buy direct versus resale, and thought it would be good to have a discussion about that. Before we get into that, just want to remind everyone that if you'd like to listen to our show via iTunes, we are available now to subscribe. And in our show notes page on disunplugged.com, you will find the link to do that, or if you're watching us on YouTube, right down below this video in the description, there'll be a link there as well. Also, want to remind everybody that we are in the midst of doing our 7 DVC Resorts in 7 Weeks series over on DVCfan.com. We're covering Grand Floridian, Copper Creek, Beach Club, Animal Kingdom Lodge, Old Key West, Polynesian, and Saratoga Springs. And yes, it is in that order, Fiasco. They're in the order that we did them. It was the easiest way for me to... That was the order we did them.
Was it?
Yeah. It's the easiest way for me to remember it. And we've got, special shows where we did reviews. We've got special dining reviews as part of our Disney dining show, photo galleries, write-ups on the resorts and the rooms, walkthroughs of the resort, walkthrough videos of the resort. Did a lot of work on this. And that began August 12th. It's going to continue for 7 weeks. So head over to dvcfan.com and check that out. Also, over on Facebook, you can join the DVC Fan Facebook group and come check that out. So, all right, enough plugs. Let's talk about member benefits. So for those who are new to this, there are, right or wrong, 2 types of members. There are members who purchase their DVC interest direct from Disney or purchased a resale contract before, was it 2016 when the first round of restrictions came in?
I think 2016 was when they restricted member benefits, yeah.
Yeah, so it was around there. So if you bought resale or direct before that, you're a full member, meaning you get the blue DVC member card. And all perks available to DVC members are available to you. If you bought after 2016 via resale, those perks are restricted somewhat. And then after January of 2019, they added further restrictions in terms of resale points being able to be used at any of the new resorts. So if you purchased a resale contract, like I did, after January of this year, of 2019, those resale points cannot be used at Riviera or new resorts going forward. We've had a discussion about that recently, so I'm not going to go into it again. But so we are talking. Most of the benefits that we're talking about are benefits that are only available to direct full members, blue card members, people who bought direct or bought resale before 2016. And you will find that in many cases, and this was my rationale, I mean, I did buy direct to get certain benefits, but most of these discounts are available if you have an annual pass. And, of course, if you're a full member, quote unquote, you can get a discount on your annual pass through DVC, but on resale, with the resale restrictions, you cannot. Am I correct with that? That I don't believe that annual pass discounts are available, or annual discounts on annual passes are not available to people who bought resale.
And that's really, to me, one of the biggest perks is that, and it isn't just the discount on the pass, it's the fact, and this is coming from out of state, obviously. I can get a gold member pass with my DVC membership, which you cannot get if you are if you're just if you're not a Florida resident. If you're a Florida resident, I believe you can also get a gold pass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if you're not a Florida resident, if you're from New York like I am, you can't get a gold pass. So your options are platinum pass, which is now $1,100 or something like that. It's a lot.
Yeah,
and I can get a gold pass for $6.99, I think it is, or somewhere around there. So you're looking at almost $400 a person savings. The gold pass is blocked out at Christmas and at Easter, but it's good in the summer. It's good all the rest of the year. So if you're not coming at Christmas or Easter, you can get that gold pass. Take multiple trips in a single year for, a pretty big savings versus looking at getting a platinum pass or something like that. So that, to me, is like, if you have a family of 4 and you do that every year, you're talking $1,600 a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's significant. Do you think it's significant enough, though, versus the savings of buying resale?
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it regularly, it could be. I mean, you got to look at the factor.
Well, that's assuming that,
I mean, direct is almost, to me, it's really like, is it worth the 75 points for direct?
Right.
You only need 75 points for that membership. You don't need to buy all your points direct to get that membership card. You need 75 points.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what you did, really, is you bought that 75 points direct.
Right, but then because of Fiasco, I went and bought another 75 direct. So I have 150 direct now.
But even so, I mean, you only need to buy that 75 points. So, you're talking 75 times $50 or something like that. So what's that, like $4,000? If you're getting 4 APs a year for your family, and even if you're not doing it every year, $1,600 every other year or something, that might be worth it to get that 75 points direct for that benefit.
Right.
I will also say that while if you have both DVC and annual pass, very rarely will you need one or the other because they both do the same discounts usually. DVC does do special offerings on services that you can't get with annual pass. So like, for example, in July, they did spa services 40% off.
Yeah.
So we were able to get 40% off our massages at ShipShape.
Let's talk about what some of these discounts are. It's generally speaking about it's 10% on food, 10 to 15% on merchandise that is at locations that are not owned by Disney, and that's select locations. Not everybody does it. 20% on Disney merchandise at Walt Disney World, Hilton Head, and Vero Beach. 10% on merchandise at Aulani and the Disneyland Resort. And when we talk about comparing discount, those are the same basic discounts you're going to get with an annual pass, except annual passes will not work at Aulani for a discount, and they only work at Disneyland if you have a Disneyland annual pass or the Premier Pass, which is now $2,500 a year.
Right, and the DVC. I mean, you mentioned merchandise discount. DVC, you also get 10% off food at the Disneyland Resort as well.
Right.
Which a Florida annual pass wouldn't give you.
Correct.
And also some of the perks like Moonlight Magic and that kind of thing, that's only for direct, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And the rationale behind this, and especially when you talk about Moonlight Magic are the after-hour events that DVC hosts at various theme parks. They do it out in California. They do it out here. and they're, you know, again, it's important to mention too, I think early on in this conversation, that perks can and do change. So just because they're a perk now doesn't mean they're going to be a perk 2 years from now. But Moonlight Magic are these amazing after-hours events that DVC does. That I did
They're
one.
so
I did the Epcot one in May, and in all the years I've been doing this, I've not experienced an after-hours event like that. It was amazing.
Yeah, they're really cool.
And for me, honestly, the biggest thing I wanted as a perk of direct membership was those events.
Yeah.
And because, like, Tables in Wonderland gives a far better discount and far wider discount on food than your DVC discount is going to give you, that you would get through a direct benefit. My annual pass gets me pretty much all the same discounts on merchandise. Every time I go and I say, you know, they ask if you have any discounts. I say annual pass or DVC, which one is better? They're both the same. So you do get to buy, you know, as a direct member, you get to buy annual passes at the Florida resident rate. That's what those rates are set at. And of course, you have the Gold Pass that Pete was mentioning, that is only available to Florida residents and DVC members. There are also occasionally select experiences they will discount. Like, for example, at the time we're recording this, in August of 2019, there is a 25% off on the October 4th showing of Frozen on Broadway, which tells me Frozen isn't selling well if they're offering 25% off to DVC members.
It was terrible.
Uh-oh.
I thought it was awful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we went to Broadway and saw it, and I did not like that show.
You
at
did not
all.
like it?
No, I did not. But I love Frozen, so it's not like I'm against Frozen or anything.
You also get discounts on select tours. Like if you're out in Disneyland, 15% off the Walk and Walt's Footsteps. And I think Backstage Magic tours here in Walt Disney World, you get them on those tours as well. So there are benefits like that.
I would agree with you. The Moonlight Magic is a big thing if you can attend it. You know, again, from traveling from out of state, when they first started doing it, they wouldn't announce them much in advance. They started doing them maybe 2017, I think. And we got very lucky that we just happened to be going to be there when they had one. But, you know, we typically can't plan a trip a month, 2 months in advance. We're planning out, you know, 6 months, a year in advance. So at first they would just kind of pop them up and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to be there. Oh, well. But now, this past year, they announced all of them for the whole year. And that really does become more of a benefit, because I could, in January, say, okay, there's Animal Kingdom in August or whatever the date was. I can plan a trip around. I'm going to be down there for that. So I do think how they change that, it does make it a benefit for everyone, not just people that happen to be there.
You had told me the other day, like, what some of the direct pricings were. Do you remember any off the top of your head, like what the current? Does anyone know currently if you bought through Disney, like Animal Kingdom
I do.
Lodge? Like,
You got to give me a
if you
second.
could look that up. I've been trying to find it and I cannot find it anywhere.
Well, you got to talk then while I'm...
I got a vamp. So,
vamp.
anyways, I will say that I like, you know, one of the things that have been taken away as well is people's ability to use their points for Cruise Line and Adventures by Disney if you are not a direct purchasing member. Obviously, that's very frowned upon within the community, as far as, like, it's not necessarily worth your money, worth your points.
Yeah,
be
it's a
spending it
terrible,
in that
terrible
way.
use of points
Right.
to spend them on things like, on any of the, you know, the concierge collection,
Yeah.
the World collection, Adventures by Disney, Disney Cruise Line. It's a terrible use of points.
Especially when there's other programs out there like other timeshares that can tap into like RCI for a lot less money than Disney Vacation Club is. Like if you want to use it and be like, oh, well, we can also, because when I went to the direct pitch, they were telling me, they're like, where's somewhere in the world you want to go? And I was like, oh, well, I was recently in Italy. And they're like, oh, okay. And she's like trying to find somewhere in Italy, and she's like, oh, here's this, and it would just cost you 100 points for the week.
But
and
the problem with that,
Right.
the problem with those RCI exchanges, is that none of these resorts are in places you want to go. So, like, I was looking at London. There's nothing in London.
there's nothing in Tokyo.
You'd have to go like an hour and a half outside of London to use one, which kind of defeats the purpose. So again, I don't see that as a benefit. I do have the prices up now.
Okay.
What did you want to know?
Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Animal Kingdom Lodge. Currently, if you were to purchase off the wait list at Disney, $176 per point.
Okay. So I mean, like right now, I'm just doing like a price comparison based on their, an example one. So I mean, there's Animal Kingdom Lodge has a 300 point listing, which I mean is a large sum of points. So I mean, if you bought direct, that would be $52,800 just as your base fee there. Right now, that 300 is going for 107 a point, so that's 32,100. So that's $26,000 cheaper. That's
considerable savings.
So if all of these things that we're naming, the opportunity to buy Magic, Moonlight Magic, the opportunity to pay more and get cruises and Adventures by Disney, and some of these basic discounts, I mean that's $26,000. So that's certainly going to cover many years of annual passes and different things. Obviously, buying 300 points is that gap's going to be a lot closer
also,
with other things.
If the merchandise discounts and stuff aren't a big deal to you, you are still, even as a resale member, able to get Tables in Wonderland. I think it's $150 a year, and you get 20% off food and alcohol at all Disney-owned locations and several locations that aren't Disney-owned. So not all of them in Disney Springs, for example, because those are third-party restaurants. Not all of them take it. Some of them do, but not all of them. Most restaurants take it. And any of the ones like that Disney owns and operates, you can use it there. And let me tell you something, 20% off food and alcohol at Disney, that thing pays for itself after a couple of meals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess with that being said, with that $23,000 price difference, the question we really need to ask ourselves is how much is it worth it to you to have your magic band light up purple?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, so you're saying that only happens for direct members? Really?
I have a magic band that does light up orange. So they do sell some that light up other colors if that's not that important to you to not
really?
have purple.
Which one does that?
I have several different ones. So one has orange, but like a lot of the special ones, like I had a food and wine festival one that lights up as a flame. Like it literally goes like red, white, orange, and goes and it like crackles like a.
It still does that now?
Yeah, it still does that every now and then. It's a randomized thing, but yeah, there are some magic bands that do that.
That's extra.
But back to that price difference of 300 points. It comes back to. You don't need to buy 300 points direct. If you want 300 points and you want the benefits, buy 75 points direct for whatever the price you just said for Animal Kingdom, 176, and then buy 250 points at $108 a point or whatever it is, and you still get all the benefits that you would if you bought that direct contract for 300 points. You don't, other than the Riviera, being able to go Riviera. Everything else you get the same, you only need that 75 points for that member benefit. So if really you decide, I really want to be able to go to Moonlight Magic, I want that discount for the annual passes. We didn't mention the lounge at Epcot, which is, I
the
think,
member
really
lounge.
Nice, but a small perk.
But also keep in mind when we're talking lounges, Top of the World Lounge at Bay Lake Tower, available to all members, regardless of whether you bought resale or direct. That's available to everyone.
I did.
And that to me, that is a that's a fabulous perk.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they have not restricted that.
Yeah.
And
They actually can't, I guess, because of the way it's financed. They actually can't restrict it because it's financed from the dues. So for that reason, everybody pays dues. So everybody.
Well, and that was right, and that's the point I wanted to make about Moonlight Magic, because I'm like, it really sucks that I was telling somebody, oh, it really sucks that you can't do these Moonlight Magic things. It's unfair that you can't do Moonlight Magic if you're one of these, if you're under the resale restrictions. And he said, well, no, it really isn't unfair, because the money for those events comes out of people buying direct. They can't use the dues and maintenance fees to pay for those parties. They have to take the money they're making selling direct and do some of those perks. I'm like, oh, you know what? That makes sense. It's against the law for them to use those maintenance fees to do something like that. Maintenance fees and dues have to be for that resort. It can't be for other stuff. So, I think it's illegal. I would imagine it's illegal, and especially in Florida, the way the laws are structured around anything real estate, and especially timeshare. They are so tight with that that I would imagine that's the reason. But, so stuff like that makes sense. Well, I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I added it up as well because I did find a 75-point Animal Kingdom contract just to kind of compare. So buying it through DVC store, it was $9,000. If you bought the 75 points direct, it would be $13,200. So you're saving a little over $4,000. So it's kind of like, in the life of all of this, is that worth? That's the price comparison there. So like, in this grand scheme of it, we were talking earlier about saving $1,600 a year on annual passes by getting the gold pass. That kind of thing can add up whenever Animal Kingdom Lodge ends in 2057.
Yeah, but
correct?
if you're just going to buy direct to get the perks and you don't care about the rest of it, then buy them direct at Vero, at $110 a point. That still gives you a direct purchase. That still makes you a full member. But it's a lot less expensive. Now, you're considering becoming a DVC member. So, are the perks important enough to you?
They're not important enough to me, but I also live right here. So my main reasoning and that's been a part of my issue, is that I'm somebody that doesn't need to plan out. I don't live in New York or anything where I need to come down for a weekend or a week or whatever. I need sporadic nights as I go. However, I also want those at Beach Club and Boardwalk. So, and I don't know until the last minute when I might be needing these rooms. So that's kind of the conundrum that I'm in, is because that's really where buy where you want to stay, but also my timing of when I pick to stay isn't as easy as just last second picking things.
So where would you buy?
Well, I'd like to buy at Beach Club or Boardwalk because I want to be right outside of Epcot. But when I have people come into town, we do Epcot a lot, and I want to be able to just go right there and sleep. But because people will call me a month in advance and be like, hey, we got a weekend off, can we come hang out and stuff, we want to go do Epcot, there's no availability at Beach Club and Boardwalk a month before you're gonna stay. So that's my issue.
Well, so let's look at the resale prices or the direct prices there.
Right.
Direct price at Beach Club, $225 per point. Boardwalk isn't much better at $190 a point. So, they're not cheap.
No.
And they go for a lot less than that on the,
I can't think of anything for myself that would be a benefit. And actually, the Moonlight Magic would be a benefit for me because I do live here and I can go. I could go to every one.
Well,
if I wanted,
look, you get first crack at it.
Right.
If you're staying on site during
then
that,
I guess I can't.
You get first crack, and then once they fill up those spots, then they open it up to people who aren't. And I'll tell you, I've tried twice now. And failed both times.
It's getting harder and harder.
Now, I'll ask y'all because y'all would know more than I would. Obviously, I'm sure it's against the rules to buy them and resell them to people or whatever. But even though it's against the rules, is it something that people do?
What do you mean?
Like if you are a direct member and you get your Moonlight Magic tickets, are you able to give them to other people?
I think if they ever, if they, I mean, you can put up to the number of people on your reservation. You can
Okay.
get that many tickets. So if you have 6 people on your reservation, you can get 6 tickets. Otherwise,
but
I think they limited it
don't
to
you-
4.
Don't you have to be there and show your ID to get the wristbands, though? I don't think you can just sell it to somebody else.
Yeah. And I think if they caught you selling that, that would be the end of your membership.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that would be a very, 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 very bad thing to do. I would not encourage anyone to ever do anything like that. Look at you, like, ready to figure out how you can.
No, I don't want to. I was just thinking it's not a benefit if, it really isn't a benefit if other people are just going to buy
I've-
all of them up
I've-
and then give them away or,
No, I've not seen. Well, there's nothing to buy because it's free. It's a free event.
Or, I mean, like, claim them. Or,
Right.
there's only a certain number to claim. So if it's a thing of where, like, Pete's a direct member and I'm not, or if Pete's a direct member and so am I, but he's staying on property and you're able to claim as many tickets as you want, I have no shot at getting it. And then
Right.
you'll give them to friends and family that are in town visiting. I didn't know.
Well, that you can
Yeah, I
do.
mean,
That you
the-
can do.
Yeah.
The one time I went to Moonlight Magic, they allowed us to get 6 tickets, and it was just my wife and I. So I got 6 anyways, and I gave them away. But so I don't think there's anything illegal about that. But I actually offered it up.
No, I'm
Maybe-
talking
maybe I've
about.
been on the Diz boards. I said I got two passes for this. Does anybody want them?
I'm talking about selling
Yeah,
them. That's,
selling them's a little
that's not
different.
cool. I mean, giving them friends and
No,
family. That's
I would
fine.
agree. I would never
Yeah.
sell them. That would be, and never mind you say losing your membership over it. But
But
Right.
I'll tell you
That-
now, I've been a member since February, so it's 5 months.
Yeah.
I've been a member 6 months.
So
And-
before you end though, you mentioned Vero Beach as a cheap entry, but remember if you buy at Vero Beach, the
Maintenance
dues
points.
are very high.
Dues are about
Yeah,
$9,
these are very
nine
high,
and change
so-
a point. So
I would say you're better off at either Old Key West or Saratoga Springs if you want that cheap.
true. Well,
75 point.
Saratoga definitely is going to be the cheapest on that regard. But I've been a member for about 6 months now, and I can tell you that I haven't come, with the sole exception of Moonlight Magic. And then maybe like doing a member cruise, like wanting to do one of the member cruises. With the sole exception of that, I haven't come across anything where I said, wow, I'm glad I'm direct to get this perk.
That's the same. I dug my card out of my wallet because I wanted to take a peek at when we bought, because I couldn't remember if it was 11 or 12, and it was 11, and that was the first time that they cut. We bought in closed just before the first change, where it was going to be different. And I'm sitting here when we're going over all these different things that you can get discounts on and whatnot. There hasn't really been anything that I
You never
miss.
used it? Yeah.
I mean, before we became annual pass holders, because when we lived in Georgia, we didn't buy annual passes quite then. So we did use the discounts for different things that we didn't have available via being an annual pass holder. So we did like that. That was cool. And there was one other big one, but for the life of me, I know I've mentioned it in one of the shows. I think Peter and I were talking about it. It was the year that they gave a really huge discount on a premium annual pass. And they only ever did it once, and they've never done it again. And the premium pass was less expensive than a regular Walt Disney World annual pass was.
Yeah, we did that 2 years ago. So it must have been 2017 they did it. You actually could get the premium annual pass, platinum pass.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
price
well,
of
no,
the
I
gold
see.
pass.
Are you talking about the Premier Pass? It's both coasts?
No.
Or, okay.
No,
the one that just includes the water
The one
parks.
with the platinum
Oh, the
pass
Platinum
with the water
Plus.
park.
Oh, Platinum
So
Plus.
yeah.
the Premier Platinum Pass, but it gave you, that's
That one was good.
$400 or $500 more than the Gold Pass.
Right.
And you got it at the Gold Pass price. That was a good
mean-
deal, and we actually got them that year.
We did too, and that's really the only thing that but they took that away. So,
So that's why we're saying that perks come and go.
they do, yeah.
And so that's got to be factored into that decision as well.
Well, I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask y'all, now that things are happening with the current change as it stands with Riviera, where if you buy resale, you can't use it at other places, and if you have resale for like what Pete has with his resales, he can't use those at Riviera. Obviously, we've talked before about them walking those rules and regulations back if Riviera's not selling well, but do we think that Disney will try and go the opposite route and start adding really great benefits for people to buy direct to because right now it's like if they take away things
Very
that
possibly.
discourages people from buying resale, but maybe they could just encourage people to
Yeah.
buy direct with
So,
better
so they
things.
have, though, because for a long time the discount, the merchandise discount was only 10%, and then 2 or 3 years ago they switched it to 20%, and they've left it there. And the Moonlight Magic stuff, that is new.
Yeah.
That has only started in 2017. Before that never happened. And now they're doing, many of those events, like 2 in each park practically, right? So it's,
Right.
10 a year or something like that. Those could go away, but I think that is what they are using those to drive direct sale. So I agree with you. They could use that as a benefit. That here's why you.
But that's
buy
why
direct.
I like the idea of buy that small point package up front to get the direct perks and everything else through the resale.
Corey, you bought direct as well, right?
Yes, so I bought the 75-point directs at Copper Creek with the intention, like Pete just said. Once I pay this off, I'm going to add points on, but it's all going to be through resale. But yeah, I would agree with that 100%. If these benefits seem like that's something important to you, small contract direct, and then get the rest through resale.
My guess would,
Yeah.
I guess,
And we didn't mention that as a change. It used to be you only needed 25 points direct for the benefits,
Yeah.
and I
That's right.
think it was 2018 they changed it from 25 points to 75 points.
And they try and they will try and tell you need to buy 100. The DVC guys will say you need a minimum of 100 points. We've heard this a lot.
Yeah.
And then when they're pressed on it, they say, well, okay, well, we can do it with 75. It's 75.
Yeah.
It's not 100. So, but, again, for everybody, it's going to be different. There's no one right answer to this. If these perks don't matter to you, then buy resale. If they do matter to you, then buy that small 75-point contract direct, and then the rest on resale.
Is there a benefit that Disney could introduce that would make one of the 5 of y'all say, hey, I am not even just going to do the 75, like I'm going to get my whole 200-point contract direct? Like, is there like a one benefit thing that you're like, if they just did this, I would do it?
Free cruises?
Well, they're not going to do that.
Okay,
But like,
I mean, honestly, beyond that, I really don't know. I don't think so.
I got one.
yeah.
If one day a year,
Pete, hold on.
if one day a year they close down a specific park just for DVC members, absolutely.
Like in the daytime, like the full day.
Yeah, like that park was for DVC that day.
Oh.
That'd be great.
Yeah, never going to happen.
Yeah, I know it's never gonna happen.
That'll be right there with the free cruises.
Yeah, that's
Pete,
never
what
gonna
were you
happen.
going to say?
I was just going to say free APs. If they gave free annual passes to members, then yeah, I'd buy direct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, that's on the list of, that's right there with the free cruise and the
Maybe they could do
Yeah.
that for
DVC day.
Maybe
at the
they
park.
could do that with, like, for Riviera right now they're pushing fixed weeks. Maybe it's a thing where they could do fixed weeks and give you park tickets that are valid during that 1 week that you have to encourage. This is the week you're going and this is what you get. Like if they added that on maybe as a perk,
Yeah.
like
For a fixed week.
for a
yeah.
fixed week,
Oh.
and that's the week. Like,
We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. If maybe they're happy with these restrictions the way they are. Maybe they do add new things to encourage direct purchase. Maybe they walk back some of these. That's the fun of doing these shows. We get new things to talk about every week. So, all right, that's going to do it. This was by no means an overwhelmingly comprehensive look at, because that if we did an overwhelmingly comprehensive look at member benefits, we'd be here for about 7 hours. But they're all listed on the DVC site, and I'm sure we'll come back and do more shows around this topic. But that is going to do it for this episode of our show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week with another edition of the DVC Show. Have a great week, folks.